okay, which will be quite fast because they're easy questions, and check that all the words in these answers are spelled accurately, and of course, if necessary, with quotation marks. All right. The whole idea is to be able to secure all these marks for these easy questions first, so that you can at least pass the Compre. Okay. Then after that, once you are done checking all the easy questions and the literal code and evaluative Compre answers, then you can go on to check all the difficult ones, which is the own words, vocab, inferential, and finally the most difficult is the lie question, which is the first question we're going to go through later. All right, so that you can get a distinction. So you secure the base first, check all the easy questions, make sure you get all the marks from the easy question first, then you can consider checking the other difficult questions. So you might want to try that. All right. Okay. Then of course, let's move on to some of the general comments I have regarding the marking of the Compre answers. Okay. So for the quotation questions, the good thing is I think everybody in this class put single quotation mark for this for all the code questions. So that's very good. At least you remember what you, because of me saying it many times. All right. So next one, you also need to make sure that every single word required in the phrase or the expression or the sentence, they need to be written down and they need to be spelled accurately and in exactly the same word form as stated in the text. So later we'll go through some of these code questions. And of course, if let's say the word or the phrase, the first word is capitalized, the first letter of the first word is capitalized, you will need to capitalize it when you write the answer to. So for example, if the answer is cats and cats start the sentence, so obviously you must put single quotation mark first, then C is capital letter with ATS and then the close inverted comma. All right. So you must basically you write the word as it is in the text. Okay, including capitalization or non-capitalization of the first letter. Next one, excess denies. All right, it applies if the extra information is irrelevant or it contradicts the correct answer or it reveals that you misunderstand the text. So a very classic example is you got one correct answer and one wrong answer for a 1 mark question. That usually means it's a 0. Okay, so you need to just give the correct answer. Precision is very important. All right, don't give more than what is expected. Give the answer. Next one, if you have words that are underlined with IYOW, by the way, IYOW means in your own words. All right, that means you didn't use own words. That's what it means. So it means that you did not rephrase your complete answers in own words, especially in these 3 types of questions: vocab in context, in your own words, and lie question. Okay, so these are just some marking conventions you need to know before I start going through the answer. And if it's a literal question, please don't try to use own words to rephrase the text language. Just copy the relevant section that answers the question. That's it. Because there were a few of you who tried to use own words and then you distort the contextual meaning and end up I cannot give any mark. So it's wrong. All right. So if they never use own words, don't need to use. If it's a literal question, just copy the relevant section. All right. You cannot afford to lose marks for a literal question because they are the easy types of questions. All right. Okay, please take out your highlighters. You need 3 highlighters and your green pen, okay, to copy the answer, because a lot of you got this wrong. The first question. The first question of the narrative complete is usually the most difficult one, and it's usually this type of question. All right, I did explain to you why this usually is the first question, because they're trying to describe the setting of the story. So in describing the setting of the story, a lot of adjectives, a lot of interesting words, okay, that are underlined can be replaced, and they all mean a certain thing. Like in this case, they all mean the scorching weather conditions. So that's why you see in your 10-year series, right? Very likely the first question is this question, because the story, okay, gives the context, the description of the setting that helps the setter to set this type of question most easily. All right, it's not because they want to kill your or lower your morale right from the start. Okay, so it's because it is for them to test you in the first paragraph. Okay, now, so 3 colors, please highlight. Explain how means it's asking for the contextual meaning of the quote. Explain the meaning. The language used in paragraph 1, the yellow one, is quotation from the passage. Then emphasizes the scorching weather conditions. That is the link. to how it emphasizes the scorching weather conditions. So there are three colors to emphasize three parts in the lie answer, the answer to the lie question. All right. Now notice that I put a bracket here. Whenever I put a bracket, it means it's optional. Okay. Why did I put it as optional? Because I realized that many of you, your vocab may not be that wide. So therefore, you had a problem trying to substitute the word scorching. Look at the one that I'm highlighting now, the word scorching. You had a lot of problems. So some of you, in your great enthusiasm to substitute this word scorching, you came up with words that don't mean scorching, and you ended up being penalized. Or you ended up copying the word scorching weather condition as your link, and you might be penalized. Because I don't want you to copy the words of the question, because that's what you're not supposed to do. All right. So basically, you can just write the quotation, suggest contextual meaning of quote, and that's it. Okay. Without, if you really cannot come with the green part, right, then I would say forget it. Make sure your yellow and blue is correct. You can still get the mark. Cambridge will still give you the mark. All right. If you're not confident, not sure to do the green part because you don't know the meaning of the word scorching, then forget it. Just do the yellow and the blue. Okay. You can still get the mark. Okay. Don't worry about that. Okay. So this is a very important thing that you need to know. Okay. So you should copy and listen to me at the same time. Okay. Now, so basically the first answer is this. This part I'm highlighting is the first answer, the first mark. Okay. Most of you got the code correct. The code is never the issue. All right. The issue is always the blue part, which a lot of people cannot get because their vocab is not wide enough, or possibly because they cannot give the exact precise meaning of the words that are underlined. You see the words that are underlined? They are the words that need to be replaced. Okay. So if you look very carefully, keywords in the code that are underlined must be replaced by contextually appropriate meanings, which is the one in blue. Okay. So how do I know this is a keyword? First of all, a word like was is definitely not a keyword. It's just, it's is, was. You don't expect yourself to substitute this. And the word climate is not a keyword because I think it's more of a geographical term. All right. So it's very unlikely that Cambridge will ask you to substitute the word climate because it is very much a geographical term. So, but the word tropical and all right, the adjective tropical and this preposition plus the adjective plus the noun in full force needs to be replaced. All right. Okay. So first of all, tropical means very hot and humid weather conditions. All right. The word very needs to be present. Okay. Also because of the word in full force. That's why very needs to be there. But actually, right, tropical alone already means very hot and humid. But I don't have to put very, very hot and humid. It sounds strange. Okay. So you just put very hot and humid, you will get a mark. Okay. Next one, sweltering alone means very hot and humid. All right, just sweltering alone already means very hot and humid. So obviously it means tropical and in full force. All right, of course, you put a heat there to know what is sweltering. All right, then the next part, okay, the next part we are looking at is extreme heat and humidity. This is the same, very hot and humid, or extremely high temperatures and humidity. Then this person actually even tried to replace in full force. Very good, at its maximum. As I said, this is optional. Highlighting replaces emphasizing. Burning replaces scorching. Weather conditions don't need to change because it's geographical in nature. All right. So that's how you replace the words. Okay. So you just need to copy the words in yellow, blue, green. Okay. So as you're copying, I want to go through some of the popular wrong answers. So in every complete question, right, the ones that are more difficult, you have a red, the words in red. The words in red tell you the popular wrong answers and why they are wrong. So for example, okay, all these have the idea of temperature. The one I'm highlighting now have the idea of temperature without humidity. So it's wrong. All right, because tropical means very hot and humid. Okay. Then after that, there are answers like how high. I did say in class before, you cannot use the word how plus the adjective. Why? Because you need to be precise and specific about the degree of heat and humidity. Okay, is it very high or is it high temperature? I do not know. Because you say highlighting how high the temperature is, my question is how high? Is it very high or high? So I don't know is wrong because it's not precise enough. So there were quite a number of you in this class who put how plus the adjective. Can you please make sure you do not do that ever again? Because it is definitely wrong. All right, just put high or very high, depending on your the understanding of the contextual meaning of the keywords. All right. Next one, full force is copied. You cannot copy words directly from the code, obviously, so it's wrong. Once I see any word that is copied from the code, I will underline, put IYOW, and put a big cross there. It's wrong. All right, because it's copied. Okay, contextual meaning cannot be copied. All right. Then this another popular wrong answer is the sunny. Sunny is not tropical. Sunny means bright. Okay, it does not mean hot and humid. So it's wrong. All right. Okay, I'm going to move on. I hope you have finished copying. Okay, let me ask. If you have finished copying, can you type 3 on the chat box, in the chat box? Everybody please type, then I know that I can move on to the move up. Okay, I'm going to move on. All right, let's move on. Okay, now we are going to. Okay, so as I said just now, if your answer is underlined with IYOW, right, it means you copied the key underlined word from the code in your contextual meaning answer. All right, so obviously you cannot do that. Next one. So this is what I said about the optional green part. If you cannot find enough synonyms for scorching, or you're not confident of the synonyms, just write the code plus the contextual meaning of code. That's it. Okay, Cambridge will give the mark. All right. So my whole idea of not writing the green part, the link, is please do not give the Cambridge marker the chance or the reason to penalize your inability to accurately replace scorching with a synonym. All right. And worse still, some of you try to copy wholesale scorching weather conditions from the question. That's even worse. All right. You're giving them the chance to mark you down. So I rather you just do the yellow and the blue without the green. All right. If really you're not confident. Okay. Let's move on. Now, so obviously, if you miss certain keywords in the code, no mark will be awarded. So I give you an example. If you look at the second answer, which is this one that I highlighted, the second answer, if you just put pierce through his defenseless skin without sun's rays, it is wrong because you missed out the keyword, the first two words there. So this is what it means. All right. Then here, if one part of your contextual meaning is wrong, the whole answer is wrong. So for example, I give an example in this code, if you have the sun's beams penetrated his dangerous skin. I know it sounds weird, okay? But penetrated his dangerous skin, whatever it is. Basically, dangerous doesn't mean defenseless. If you have one part correct, beams have penetrated, and the other part defenseless, meaning wrong, is 0. All right, you must get all the words that are underlined correct. The keywords all must be accurate in meaning and spelling. All right. So that is what is important. Okay, so let's go through this answer now. Okay, the one I'm highlighting now. First of all, the quotes, single quotation mark, the sun's rays pierce through the defenseless skin, his defenseless skin. All right, that is the quote. Then you have the contextual meaning in blue. It means the sun's beams, rays, penetrated, pierced through, defenseless, vulnerable. Basically, you find the synonym for each keyword that's underlined. You do not need to underline change skin. Skin is a very biological term. It's almost impossible to do that. And please do not change sun to a giant fireball. Okay, just write suns. That's all. Okay, you don't have to go and change sun, moon, earth, all this. Okay, there are too simple a word to change. All right, space-like type of terms, you need to change. All right. Next one, unprotected is another possible answer for defenseless. Okay, cut through is for pierce through. Vulnerable obviously is defenseless. Okay, so please copy all the very vocab. All right. Then of course, highlighting the blazing heat. So this is the link. Highlighting is emphasizing blazing heat is scorching weather conditions. So it's blazing heat. All right. Okay, so as you are copying the yellow, blue, green, all right, okay, and the very vocab, I'm going to go through some of the contextual meaning that is not accepted. For example, the heat could be felt through his skin. All right, this obviously not even answering the idea of defenseless. They don't have a synonym for defenseless. Causing him pain is the inference of the sun's rays piercing through his defenseless skin. All right, the pain is because of the ray going through the skin. All right, so it is nothing to do with replacement of keywords. Okay, then of course the others I think they're all wrong basically. Okay, the other popular wrong answer is burn through his skin. All right, burn is wrong because burn is not pierce. All right, and there's no idea of defenseless. So these are the reasons why it's wrong. Okay, and oh, this is a very popular wrong. Some of you didn't put the apostrophe S. You know the highlighted part. You missed out the apostrophe S. So many people wrote sun rays instead of sun's rays. The apostrophe S was missed out. It's very you when you copy the code, you must copy in exactly the same words and word form as it is from the passage. You cannot just take out the apostrophe S because you don't want to. You are careless, all right, or you just happen to forget about it. You must copy in exactly the same form. So when there's apostrophe S, you must copy the apostrophe S. All right. So if you write sun rays without apostrophe S, right, the whole code is wrong. It's a cross there. And you need to even see the blue and the green part. It's wrong with the whole thing. All right. So when you copy the code, it must be copied in exactly the same words and word form as it is from the text. Please do not change anything. Okay. So really important, because a lot of you
Why did I send this across to you?
Pardon again? Who's that? Okay. Next one, let's move on. Okay. Now, so we are looking at the other errors in the code. Okay. You can mute yourself, everybody. If you want to ask question, then you switch on the mic. Okay, now let's move on. All right, now the third answer, immense furnace. Okay, an immense furnace. All right, so that is the code, or you can have akin to being in an immense furnace. Either one is correct. Okay, we gave the mark for either one of it. Okay, now, so basically, right, what you need to copy, okay, there are two things you're looking at. Number one is the size of the furnace. So if you look at the word immense, right, you need to replace the word immense. So it's huge or vast. Okay, then after that, of course, here is huge. Then the second thing you need to replace is actually, sorry, not replace, but to infer the condition of being in the furnace. All right, you do not need to replace the word furnace. Okay, I don't expect people to replace the word furnace, but you need to tell me the condition of being in the furnace. So if you look very carefully, look at this word, intensely hot. So a furnace is assumed to be a very hot place. All right, okay. Or you can say a very hot furnace is fine as long as I know the condition. Okay, and of course you end on the link highlighting the searing heat. Searing is scorching, by the way, scorching weather condition. Then of course the second one, it was extremely hot, okay, to the extent that he felt as if, or he felt like, that is akin to being, he was being burnt in a huge furnace. So huge is immense. He was being burnt, and the idea of extremely hot, okay, is the condition of being in the furnace. Okay, so it's talking about the characteristics of a furnace, all right, which is extremely hot and being burned inside the furnace. Okay, so you do not need to replace the word furnace, but you need to give the inference, okay, or the condition of being in the furnace, all right, in the contextual meaning. So this is what we are looking for in this case, all right. Okay, I'm going to give you some time to copy while I go through some of the popular correct answers. Now you can also copy the correct answers, just the keywords, okay, the keywords, so as to expand the vocab. Okay, so if the answer is extremely hot and huge furnace, which emphasizes the high intensity of the sun's rays, yes, is correct. So hot as if he was being burned alive, also correct. Blazing hot, like in a hot oven, yes. I know an oven is not a furnace, but we still give it, okay, because we are not focusing on the idea of furnace, but the inference, the condition of being in the furnace. All right. Then of course the rest, okay, so burning hot, that is the condition. He was being cooked alive. All right, huge furnace. Okay, let's move on. All right. Okay, so these are some of the commonly accepted word. Colossal amount of heat. This is actually about the furnace. Okay, colossal amount of heat. All right. Then also enormous is immense furnace. I'm just going through some parts. I don't want to go through everything. Okay, I think it's understood. Okay, heat was so intense. Okay, very hot. Then after that, the idea of furnace, blazing fire in a massive furnace. Okay, of course, the searing heat is one. All right, I'm going to give you some time to copy the necessary. Okay, if you have finished copying, can you type 4 in the chat box? Then I'll move on. $16 of you only. So there's half of you who have not finished. Yeah, I'm going to give you a bit more time. Maybe 2:38. I will move on. So just keep your 4s coming in, okay? Keep your number 4s coming in. Okay, I'm going to move on. All right. Now, so I'm going to go through some of the popular wrong answers. DNA. DNA is do not accept this contextual meaning, the blue one. So obviously, I said before, the how and the adjective cannot be used because the degree is not precisely and specifically conveyed the degree of heat. So is it hot or very hot? All right. Next one, we do not accept all these contextual meanings like, okay, so deadly is completely wrong. Okay, it's nothing to do with scorching weather. All right. Then scorching weather is obviously copied from the question's word, so it's wrong. And burning warm is really very strange. It should be burning hot. All right. So there's a difference in temperature between burning and warm. Okay, a very big difference. All right, we're going to move on. Next, okay, question number 2. Finally, you have finished question number 1. Okay, after 20 minutes. Now, so question number 2, this is very simple. One word, paragraph 2. Can you highlight the word unending? That is the keyword. Then that keyword tells you is interminable. Okay, which obviously means cannot be terminated, which means unending. So that is a quotation question. Okay, just highlight unending. That is the keyword for interminable. Let's move on next. Question number 3. Haphazard. Can you use 2 colors? One color for haphazard, another color for succession. All right. Once again, it's a language achieve impact question. Okay, we are looking at. All right. So what is the technique? So I decided that I must write the technique down again, just as a quick recap. You need to use your own words to write out the contextual meaning of each of the key contrastive words in the code that can be effectively replaced. In this case, is haphazard versus succession. There's nothing to choose. It's the 2 that is there. All right. And insert, which is in contrast to between the 2 contextual meanings. So that is the technique we are looking at. All right. So let's move on. Okay. Now, so how do you answer this question? Very simple. Please use 2 colors. So you know which. So you know which is which. So haphazard is unusual because haphazard conveys that the low hues are keywords are underlined, randomly located, arranged in a disorderly, unsystematic, disorganized, irregular, messy, scattered, or chaotic manner. All these adjectives are accepted for haphazard. All right, then which is in contrast to the other word succession, which a lot of you didn't get it. All right, there are only 2 answers for succession. Low hues are arranged sequentially or one after another. These are the only 2 that are acceptable because we are looking at the precise, specific contextual meaning. All right, and these two are the most precise when it comes to succession in this context. All right, and you also need to note that the answer needs to incorporate the arrangement or the location of the hues. So look at this: randomly located, arranged in a certain fashion or certain manner. Okay, So we are going to look at some of the popular wrong answers, the DNA. Okay, the popular wrong answers are in red, as you can see. Okay, so the underlying words for haphazard do not reflect the contextual meaning of haphazard. Okay, and of course, if there's an incorrect answer and a correct answer, there will be no marks awarded. Okay, this is standard across all the Compre questions. So let's look at it. Poorly put together is not haphazard. Okay, last minute put together is not haphazard. Crazy is definitely not haphazard. And there's no such word called unorderly. So these are all from this class, by the way. It's not I make up myself one. It's from your class, this class. Disordered, there's no such word. All right. So all these, as long as you get one wrong, this one is correct. Doesn't matter. One wrong plus one correct is wrong. Okay. Next one. That means you're not sure. You just are wrong. I suspect you wrote all this because you think haphazard is hazard, but it's not. Haphazard has nothing to do with hazard, nothing to do with hazardous, and definitely nothing to do with dangerous. All right, so it's wrong. Okay, there's no such meaning for haphazard. Okay, next one. Let me go through the mocks are definitely not random. It is actually the location of the hues that are random. All right, the hues are randomly located, not the hues themselves are random. All right, and okay, so these are just normal answers. Okay, when I put a bracket at the back, right, to explain the reason for the answer, that wrong answer is very popular. Okay, the rest is just like one or two people right only. Okay, then there are some answers that are not acceptable for succession. Okay, because of the word orderly, neat, tidy, well organized, systematic. All this may sound correct, but they are considered too vague. So my question is, in what specific way is it arranged in an orderly or uniform or systematic manner? Yeah, so in what specific way? So yes, it is in an orderly, systematic manner, but it is orderly in the way that it is arranged one after another. That is the specific orderly pattern. So we are looking at specifics for succession. All right, so that's why it's wrong. Okay, then others like, this is a very popular wrong answer. Okay, I suspect you think that succession is success, which is not. Succession is definitely not success. All right, so therefore all these words, achievement, goal, victory, accomplish, are all wrong. Okay, many of you wrote this, by the way. I think you were just guessing, possibly. All right. Okay, and all these other words, they don't actually make sense or reflect the contextual meaning. Okay, smooth sailing, all this has nothing to do with succession. Okay, let's move on. Okay, now let's go to question 4. Okay, question 4, right? Most people got it correct. It's a literal question. Please write the type of question down, because the type of question will govern the way you answer the question. Okay. Now, so the correct answer is the horse's speed must be reduced or moderated. Can you write the very vocab down? Reduce. If you got the answer correct, just write reduce. In addition to moderated, instead of write conserve, you also can write preserve or save. So these are the very vocab for conserve. Okay, to expand your vocab. All right. So horse's strength must be conserved, preserved, or saved. Horse's speed must be moderated or reduced. Okay. Now, so next one, other accepted answers. Okay, so their speed must be moderated. So the only reason why there is correct, you need to listen to this. The only reason why I accepted this answer is because there's only one plural noun, horses. There's only one plural noun, horses. So when we put their speed must be moderated, okay, understood, it must be the horse's speed must be moderated. However, if the question have to ensure the horses, okay, and cats could travel a maximum distance. For example, if you have another plural noun inside here, and you only mean the horses, if you put there, it is wrong. Okay, very important. All right, this time round, most people put their speed must be moderated. I gave correct only because there's only one reference plural noun. But if there are two plural nouns, you better write the exact plural noun, like the horses, okay, rather than there. It's quite risky and dangerous to write there, okay, in general. Okay, just write, be more specific, better write the horses, then whatever after it. Okay, so moderate the speed of horses can, all right, speed must be controlled. All these are very vocab, is fine. All right, and of course, these are all correct answers. Okay, their strength must be conserved and conserve horse's strength. Now, I want to go to the red part because the red part is what is the common error. Okay, which some of you will mark wrong. Okay, now it's obvious that there's more than one horse. So the apostrophe must come after the S. All right. Now, if the apostrophe comes before the S, it means that there's only one horse, it's a singular horse, which means there is a distortion of meaning. Okay, because the passage clearly states more than one horse. So a distortion of meaning means that the answer will be marked as wrong. Okay, same for the horse's strength. All right. Once again, the idea of strength is only one horse is wrong. Distortion of meaning is 0. All right. So distortion of meaning is always 0. All right. And then another popular wrong answer is this. Their strength conserved doesn't make any sense without the context. So it must be phrased accurately. You must say their strength was conserved. Okay. So you must phrase it accurately. So there are also other popular wrong answers like this. Please look at the one I'm highlighting now, which is this part. Sorry. Okay. Now this part, okay, some of you put it was mandatory that the average daily journey should not be more than 30 miles. This is not correct because it doesn't address the way or the method or the condition or how to ensure, okay, the horses travel this certain maximum distance. But in fact, you look at the words in yellow. Okay, the words in yellow is just rephrasing the question's highlighted words. So for example, right, mandatory is just the word ensure. All right, copy is just very vocab. Travel a maximum distance of 30 miles per day is just the average daily journey should not be more than 30 miles. It's the same meaning. So you are basically rephrasing the question's words. You are not actually answering the question. And definitely it's nothing to do with the way or how to ensure. So it is wrong. Also a popular answer, popular wrong answer. Okay. Next, another popular wrong answer is this. Okay. So they ask you for 2 ways, and then there's part 1 and there's part 2. Okay. So obviously part 1 is the first correct way. Part 2 is the second correct way. Okay. So you must separate the 2 points distinctly into part 1 and part 2. So this is what you need to do. 1 correct point in part 1, 1 correct point in part 2. All right. But if you give 2 ways in part 1, okay, for example, I give an example here. You write the horse's speed needs to be moderated and the strength needs to be conserved, or in part 1, right? It is wrong because of excess denies. You are giving more info than what is required. So actually, Cambridge is increasingly coming out with this type of question so that they want to see whether you can distinguish one point from another point. All right, that is the key thing. They want you to distinguish one point from another point. So therefore, they are testing whether you know how to separate, like, oh, moderator is the end of the first point, their strength is the start of the second point, therefore their strength onwards must go to the part 2. They are increasingly testing things like this. All right, and excess denies applies if you put more than one inside one of the parts. All right, which is a 0, by the way. So it's very wasted. Like you are supposed to get 2 marks, but instead you get 0. All right, for part 1, and your part 2 point is confirmed wrong because there are only 2 ways. All right, so you ended up getting 0, even though you end up having the 2 points in the answer, but you didn't separate the answers accurately. So it is a real pity, honestly. Some of you had this issue. All right, so distinguishing of points. How do you distinguish points? By ideas. So you look very carefully. First idea is to moderate speed horse. Second idea is to conserve the strength of the horse. There are 2 separate ideas. So therefore, there are 2 separate points. Okay, part 1 and part 2. Okay, it's now 2:50. Yeah. Okay, I think you might have Chinese lesson after this. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to carry on tomorrow, question 5 onwards. All right. So yes. So question tomorrow I'll finish Compre and probably editing and a bit of essay. All right. So yes. So make sure you bring actually have your materials with you. All right. Okay. See you everybody. Have a good day ahead. Okay. Bye bye. Enjoy.